I'm going old school. My partner Mark is celebrating his daughter's birthday tonight, so having a little family get together. So I will be doing this old school style. So bear with me, people, while I. There I am. There you go. So let me get this thing squared away here. There you go. All right. So let's see what else we got going here. See if I can turn this chat on. There we go. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Mark. Did a great job yesterday, didn't he? That was I thought that was one of Mark's better performances. That was good stuff yesterday. But before we get rolling, since I'm going old school, you know what we do here. I need to go over the little bit about the rules. Number one, here on the lifeboat, on our live chats, got a couple of rules. The first one is we don't talk about politics, and there's plenty going on. I know that there is a ton of politics going on, and a lot of people would like to weigh in on it. There are channels all over the place that will give you an opportunity to do that. This isn't one of them. We basically talk about issues that pertain to recovery, and we stick to that. That's number one. Number two, this is not a religious channel. It's fine to say I'm praying for you. It's fine to say that I wouldn't have gotten through that without God. What we don't go with is the my God's better than your God stuff, or you know what, you're not getting into heaven because you're doing X, Y, or Z. Those things, we don't allow that here. Also, we'd like you to keep the language, PG-13. More of the firm belief that if you can't control your tongue, you probably can't control your life. So for the 1 hour that you're here, we prefer you don't curse. I'm not seeing any of the chat. There we go. Niall, good to see ya. Yes, old school. Caught you by surprise. Well, I am here. And then the last rule falls under what we call mean people suck. If you are coming just to disrupt the channel and to disrupt the live feed, we're going to get rid of you. And if your account was created a day or so ago, we're probably a little on edge anyway because we've been down that road. Most people don't find the lifeboat by accident, and it keeps us guessing if you happen to show up the same day you create your account. That being said, I would also like to tell you, I'm not a doctor. I'm a recovering drug addict. So anything that I talk about here is not supposed to take the place of medical advice. Nothing takes the place of medical advice. Depending on what your drug of choice is, if you're, fighting alcohol dependency disorder, we would suggest that you talk to a doctor before you quit, because it is very possible to hurt yourself or kill yourself by going through the delirium tremens and going through acute alcohol withdrawals. Very, very, very serious stuff. Same with benzodiazepines. So do talk to a doctor anytime you have a chance. That's the best possible case scenario. Alrighty, I think that about sums it up. As I said, I want to thank Mark for doing a great job yesterday. Really, no notifications. Oh, well, that stinks. I hate it when that happens. Hey, Brandon, good to see you, bud. Brandon is closing in on day 50, people. You remember when he used to struggle to get past day 20? And that 30 was such a big goal? Well, he's closing in on 50. Good for you, man. Proud of you, Brandon. Really, I am. He's a lifeboat champion. Pretty proud of him. But so Mark did a great job yesterday, and I want to thank him for that. In addition to Mark pinch hitting yesterday, Mark also, I had a doctor's appointment, by the way, but Mark also put in a appearance on Marfoogle News. If you're not familiar with Marfoogle News, you should be. It really is. C.W. Terry, good to see you. Marfoogle News is a great resource to see some news that you're not going to see in the mainstream. And, Marf says it how it is. And it's I really, really enjoy the stuff. I watch a lot of Marfoogle News. But anytime my partner is called in as an expert for space weather on Marfoogle News, he plugs the lifeboat, and we get some, we get some new blood that comes in from the, from that live. So if you're joining us today for the first time and you're here from the Marfoogle family, it's awesome to see you here. Niall says, yeah, no notifications. Had to do some lifeboat gymnastics to find out if you were on. Yeah, that stinks. It really does. If somebody wants to post over on the Lifeboat group page that we're live right now, so that people get that would be appreciated. I know you probably don't want to bail off because you think you're going to miss something, but if you're a regular or one of the mods, maybe you could pop over there and leave a little announcement saying that we're going live over here so that people know that we're live. It's so frustrating when you don't get the announcements. Speaking of announcements and notifications, tomorrow we have that interview coming up. And this is the interview with the doctor who is an expert in chemical dependency and has done some pretty amazing stuff in that field. He had actually set up a program that my partner Mark was in back in the day. Really excited to have on an expert. You know, people, we say it all the time, I'm no doctor. You know what I mean? I'm a recovering heroin addict who's been to prison. My area of expertise is in screwing up and the lessons learned from it. This is an individual that has a wealth of knowledge on addiction and things of that nature, and from the other side of the equation. You know, not from the side of being a user, but of the side of having treated a lot of people with chemical dependency. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, Niall. That's going to be a good interview. I'm pretty excited about that. So, bring you a little bit up to speed. Joanna, I was in the process of sending you an email, by the way. Hopefully I will finish it this evening. Bring you up to speed a little bit on what's going on in the captain's life. Remember when I tore the floor up in the office? I removed all of the old carpet and laid down Ghost Ship Gray Maple. I think it's maple. No, maybe it's oak. It's Ghost Ship Gray Oak flooring. And it was the goal was to get it done in a day, which did not happen. Sorry. Hang in there. Vape, hang in there, brother. I will try to reach out to you this evening and we could talk, but you need to hang in there, bud. You know you can do it. You know you can do it. You've proven it in so many other ways. You know, the other things that you've put in the rearview mirror, this is just the next logical step, and I know that you can do it. Addiction can manifest from any behavior that gives temporary pleasure and leads to negative results. Yep, no question. Beautifully and articulately said. That's, I think, in my mind, that's the very nature or the very definition of addiction. Right there, as succinctly as I've ever heard it put. That's beautiful. So, the Ghost Ship Maple. So I did this office, right? I was supposed to knock it out in a day. It ended up taking me, I didn't finish until close to midnight. So Mark pinch hit for me that day. But it was really, it was quite a job. I have decided that I'm doing the rest of the house in the same wood. So since 4 o'clock this morning, I have been tearing up floors and putting new ones down. And it has been, it's been a monumental undertaking. I bit off quite a bit. Ghost Ship Gray, wow, I love that. You know what? Here's the thing. I was in there and I'm picking out stuff and I see Ghost Ship, right? And I'm thinking Lifeboat. So I honestly, it was between that and two other colors. And, you know, it seemed like divine intervention. It was like when I went to get the cat and they had one named Squirrel. It seemed like it's probably divine intervention on that as well. But so that's what I've been doing all day. It's what I'm going to be doing for the next 5 days, maybe 6. It's going to take a minute to get this going. Just saying, hey, can't stay, but I love you all. No notification, I heard. I will share with Facebook and the community post on YouTube. Keep killing, Captain. Thank you so much. Hey, and give your daughter a happy birthday from Captain and crew, please. And have a good time. That's nothing better than spending a little time with family. That's really cool stuff. And have a good night. So, if you saw the, she certainly didn't get the notification, but if you saw the thumbnail this evening, I want to talk about preventing relapse by staying on guard. And, you know, obviously we talk about preventing relapse constantly. And one of the things that, and again, people, you know that there are 400 million approaches to sobriety, right? What we do here is we tell you things that have worked for us, myself and Mark, and things that we've learned from others that work. But this is kind of the backbone of my entire program on how I stay sober. This really is, remember that relapse takes time to build. It doesn't happen in an instant. It could be days, weeks, even months. You're absolutely right. It could be years. We did a show about this, and someone being in relapse doesn't mean that someone is using. It's a great segue too, by the way. But being in relapse doesn't mean that you're using. Using means that you're using. Being in relapse means that you're in the process, like Michael just said, of heading in that direction, and it can take a very long time. For depending on the circumstances, it might take a day, it might take a week, it might take a year, right? There's no telling. But for me, and I've talked about, there are certain things that I do every single day because they are things that I didn't do when I was an addict. And it's not just a statement of, hey, this is the new Tommy. This is page 3 Tommy. It's more than that. And for me, when I was learning this whole concept of trying to stay sober and for the first time in my life really taking it seriously. I mean, I had attempted sobriety, I don't know how many times, but when I decided that this was it, I was either going to get sober or I was going to die. And I started to learn from, a gentleman that was instrumental in my, not only in my sobriety, but in my growth, as a human being. One of the things that he had turned me on to was this concept of structuring your life in such a way that there are canaries in the coal mine. There are things that if I'm not doing, I know I'm in relapse, right? I've joked about these things in the past, like making the bed, like cleaning the kitty litter, right? Things that show responsibility, things that in the past I would not have done. I would have just blown off. I had a cat at one point as a heroin addict, and the poor animal. Like I definitely did not take care of kitty litter. I didn't take care of anything in my life really at that juncture. There was nothing in my life that I took care of. These days, all of those little things that are new, to this sober living, they're signposts, right? They're indicators. And if I'm not doing all of these things, I'm in relapse. Doesn't mean I'm using, right? It's two totally different things. But I am definitely on my way, and I'm screwing up. I'm making a mistake. And some of these things are physical things, like making a bed, right? Making sure you brush your teeth, getting ready, hygiene stuff, right? All of these things that are literally activities or things that I do every day that I never did in the past. Making sure that my laundry's done, hanging things up, just a different lifestyle. If I start to neglect those things, right? If the kitty litter doesn't get changed for 2 or 3 days, I'm probably not in a good place. I'm reverting back to old activities. And it occurred to me today because I'm doing this floor, and it's, as I said, it's this house is decent sized, and I'm doing basically all of the rooms downstairs. So it's going to, and I'm doing it alone. I'm in the house, nobody's here, it's just me slaving away. And I wanted Jack, my best friend, to come down this weekend. Number one, Jack is incredibly handy. He's a guy that actually had a handyman service for a while. It's one of the things he did. And I know that if Jack comes down here, the two of us are going to be working on this floor. It's going to go considerably faster. And the reason I bring this up is I got him on the telephone today, and I started to manipulate him. It's strange. I was thinking of this earlier. Relapse is something that will come and go and do not mean a return to addiction. Yeah, exactly. Going back to your old ways of thought, old habits. This doesn't necessarily have to be using, but the things that you did in the past, if you start to exhibit that behavior again, you're probably in the process of relapse. And the process of relapse very often ends with somebody using. But today I was on the phone with Jack. Actually, I was texting him, and I started to think about exactly what I needed to say to get him here this weekend so that I could get him to help me. Not just saying to him, hey, Jack, you know what would really help out? Yeah, I know you were going to come down in the next couple of weeks. How about if you come down this weekend? Because I'm doing these floors and, an extra set of hands would be great. Well, in my mind, and this is definitely page 2 Tommy stuff, but in my mind, I thought, you know what? It might be nice this weekend. He's probably not going to want to come down here and do floors. So I started to think about how I could manipulate him into getting him here. I started to talk about things and drop texts concerning things that I know he's quite interested in. And there's a couple of things here at the house that are Jack's that he needs to pick up. And, I've got a lot of watches laying around these days that I know that Jack has a bit of a watch thing also. And I started to say to him, you should come down and check out some of these watches. Might be one in here I could give you, sort of as a gift kind of thing. People, what I was doing was straight manipulating this guy. That's what I was doing. And when I hung the phone up, or when I stopped texting, I was sitting on the couch going, this is the kind of crap I did when I was using. This is exactly the kind of crap I did when I was using. Seventh son and Miss V, congrats. Tomorrow is 4 months. That is awesome. Congratulations. That's, 120 days. Has it really been that long? My goodness, feels like yesterday. That's awesome. Congratulations to both of you, man. 4 months. Good stuff. Really. But what I was doing on the phone today was dishonest. I mean, the text that I was sending, all I needed to do is ask the guy. He's my best friend on the planet. But that kind of behavior is the kind of thing that I did when I was an addict. I manipulated people to get what I wanted. And, it wasn't something I thought about until I was sober. And looking back, hindsight obviously is always 20/20, but looking back at the behavior that I lived while a practicing addict, one of the defining characteristics was the fact that, I was going to lie to you and I was going to try to manipulate you to either get money or get a ride or get whatever to further along my drug use, to ensure that I ended up with drugs. And the behavior I was doing on the phone today was the same kind of crap. And it occurred to me, while I was doing it, that this is a bad sign. Right? For me, this is a bad sign. This is me exhibiting the kind of behavior that I did while I was using. And it made me sit and start to evaluate all of the other things going on in my life. And this is what I mean about staying on guard, monitoring yourself and watching your behavior. One of the things that we talk about a lot on the lifeboat is that the fruit of addiction is lying. Right? Nothing is manipulation is hard to avoid or eliminate. I think we learn to be aware of it. Call it a character defect? Yeah, probably. This is something we may die with. Yeah, but awareness is the key. You know what, Niall, you're right. And maybe that's what I'm saying, as opposed to, I think that may be if it isn't what I'm saying, it's what I should be saying. Because you're right. Manipulation for most people, we do this, and sometimes we do it, almost subconsciously. But it was a situation where if I had just said, "Hey, Jack, will you come down here and help me with the floors?" I don't think Jack's ever said no to me if I asked him for help. But the mindset of going and trying to, to manipulate somebody to get what I want it's bad juju. I mean, for me, this is not a good thing. And these are the other kinds of things that I'm talking about, not your day-to-day cleaning the kitty litter, making the bed, taking care of your hygiene, making sure the shopping's done, right? All of these things are important, but there's a whole other element of behaviors and places you go, people you hang out with that should be, again, the canary in the coal mine, the first indicator that something's not quite right. And one of the big ones, as I said, so often that, the fruit of addiction is lying. And that's one of the things that I really, more than anything else, I need to guard myself. because very oftentimes lying goes hand in hand with manipulation. Like today, I wasn't lying to Jack, but I wasn't being honest either. What I was telling him was I would love to see him. I'd love for him to come down here, spend a little time. We haven't hung out in a long time. All those things were true. But the truth was, I want help. I want his help. And hopefully I'd like him to bring some tools. Because two of us with tools would knock this thing out, a whole lot quicker. And there's just no reason whatsoever for me to not just be open and honest and tell him the truth. And as I say, it's not... Well, I'll be darned. There is a Linda in the chat. Hello, Linda. It's good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Welcome to the lifeboat, Linda. And Linda, if anybody gives you some grief, it's because all of the assistants here on the lifeboat are named Linda. So I just got a text message while doing the show that mentioned that Linda is actually in the live chat. So if anybody gives you a little grief, that's what they're probably picking on you about. But Mark has talked about the honesty thing many times. And he's talked about how he'll catch himself getting ready to tell a lie for no apparent reason. He's caught himself, while having a conversation with his wife, where his next response wasn't going to be honest. And he thought to himself, what the hell am I doing? Normal people have a single thought and act on it. They ask a question of a friend. With us, however, we have 10 thoughts first and then ask the question. It has something to do with the fear of rejection. I think with me, Niall, honestly, I think it's just because as a public speaker, you know what I mean? The fear of rejection thing, I think you get over pretty quickly because, not only did I do public speaking, but for a pretty good chunk of my life, I wasn't just doing public speaking, but I was working as a public speaker who sold from the front of the room. You know what I mean? Like I was up there trying to hit people for between $500 to $10,000 while selling from the front of the room. You want to talk about rejection? If 10% of the room says yes, 90% of the room rejects you, and it's just. But for me, I think it's just an addiction. I think it's such an ingrained behavior for me, Niall, that I find myself, and again, this is really what I'm trying to focus on this evening. I find myself falling back into patterns that aren't healthy. I find myself falling back into patterns that are just, this was very much a part of who I was when using. And I think, for me, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, because for everybody, it's going to be different. Everybody's going to have something that when they begin to do it, they're going to get that feeling. They're going to get that tingle. They're going to get that overwhelming sense that something's not right. I'm doing something that isn't like Mark, when he was talking about talking to his wife and getting ready to lie to her, really for no reason. It's just a habit. If you spend 3 decades addicted to your substance of choice, other than using, the only other thing I did was lie. I got high and then I lied to people about whether or not I was getting high or what I was doing when I was out getting high or, it was just that lifestyle, and you become, it's very easy to fall back into ingrained behavior. You follow me? And another great example is, when I talk to my parole officer, for those of you who are new to the lifeboat, I'm on federal probation. So they call him a probation officer, but for all intents and purposes, it's really a parole officer. Addictive thinking, yes, I agree. The rejection thing was just an example, right? I got you. We think in a way that is mapping out the scene coming up with a scenario, something like that. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It does. That makes sense. But, I have a probation officer, and I'm going to, I don't know, for about another year, maybe 9 months, something like that. They last a very, very long time. And it's, even if the question that my probation officer asks me, I'm not doing anything wrong. I haven't failed a drug test. I haven't missed a meeting. I haven't, not made my co-pays. Like every single thing I'm supposed to do, I've done. In the eyes of a probation officer, I am a model probationer, to the point where they allowed me to travel out of state, which is rare. Really, he couldn't be any happier. And he basically told my, the counselor that I work with one-on-one that, he's got no issues whatsoever with me. Right? So I have no reason whatsoever to be dishonest to this man. I have nothing to hide, right? But it's such an ingrained part of me that when the man asks me a question, my first thought is to lie to him. Even if the answer, it's just one of those. You ever read the book Catcher in the Rye? When that opening monologue or whatever from Holden Caulfield, where he says, "I'm the worst liar you ever met." Like right now, I'm on my way to the gym, but if you ask me where I'm going, I might tell you something ridiculous. That's the kind of stuff that, because of so many years in addiction, I'm telling you, if my probation officer asks me if the car's in the garage, my first thought is tell him it's somewhere else. For real. Doesn't make any sense. None. And these are just kind of behaviors that you just sort of have to, for me, that I just have to guard myself against constantly. Because if I do start falling back into those behaviors, there's something wrong. Now, the fact that that's my first thought, I don't know how long that's going to last. It might last the rest of my life. It might. I don't know. But I know that I got to guard against it. I got to just go, yeah, car's in the garage. You want to check it out? Right? You want to go search it? Whatever. I got nothing to hide. But I know that a lot of you can relate to this. Not this weekend, but the weekend before. I think I told the story already on the show. Maybe I didn't. But I was driving back from seeing a guy about some watches, and I had purchased a little gold watch and had it in a red box. And on the way back to my house, I held the box up, right? Because the watch wasn't loose. It was sitting on a pillow in a box. So I held it open. I checked it out. I looked at it, right? Next traffic light, I'm looking down at it. I used my phone as a magnifying glass. You could do that, right? So I blew it up, and I'm looking at the dial and checking out the numbers on the face. So I begin to drive, and a cop lights me up. Right? Police officer pulls behind me and puts on his the flashers. And I almost had a heart attack. Really. Nothing in the car. I haven't done a thing wrong, right? They can test me 21 times a month. I've never failed one. Like I said, there is no reason whatsoever. But hold on one moment. I think this thinking is trauma, impulse reaction, which is not as dramatic as it sounds. We see a cop, we panic. At a checkpoint, we panic at a checkpoint for no reason. Our brain is wired for some kind of fight or flight. Yeah, I'm telling you, Niall, I was, and here's the thing. The difference was that this time I was really honest with the guy. Like, he pulled me over and he goes, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I said, "No, I don't." I wasn't speeding or doing anything else. He said, "Well, you were talking on your phone." And I said, "With all due respect, officer, I wasn't talking on my phone." You know what I mean? I wasn't. I said at the light, I used my phone like a magnifying glass. I was looking at a watch that I just purchased. And he goes, "Is that what's in the red box?" And I, told him, yeah, it was. And I opened it and let him look at it. And he said, I thought the phone, he thought the red box was a phone. So as it turns out, I didn't get a ticket. When he realized that what I had in my hand was a watch, he gave me a warning for distracted driving, for looking at the watch while driving. And but as he was standing there at the window, he said, "Well, I'm just going to run back and run your license here real quick." And I said, "Before you do, when you do, a little thing is going to flash up there and it's going to say convicted bank robber. And if you want, you can search my car. I'm going to keep my hands on the steering wheel, right, so you can see them. Just because I've been down this road before, and I know that when that flashes up on the screen, their attitude changes, like really, really quickly. I know I've told the story before, but I got pulled over once by an officer, and he said to me, have you ever been to prison before? And I said, yes, I have. And he said, what for? I said, bank robbery. And I swear to you people, like, he pulled out his gun, and it was not 6 inches from my head, and his finger was inside the trigger guard. Now, if you've ever seen police officers in real life, right, or even in movies, their finger will rest on the side of the gun until there's a reason to put your damn finger, on the trigger. This guy's got his finger on the trigger, and he's this close to my head. I said, hey, take a deep breath. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not an escaped bank robber. I'm out. It was just... So having been down that road, I said to the officer, when you go back to the cruiser and you run me, I'm going to come back as a bank robber. And he said, are you still on paper, right? Which is a term that refers to whether or not you still have a parole officer. And I said, I am on paper. I said, and if you want my probation officer's number, I've got his card in my wallet. He goes, no, I don't see any reason for that. And then he went back to the car. And when he came back, he said, you said it's okay if I search your car. I said, absolutely. Yep. And he goes, nah, no need. And I said to him, let me show you something. And he goes, the watch. And I put my hand up. And I swear to you people, it was like this. And I said to him, I don't know how long it's going to be in my life before I'll be able to see a police officer and not feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. And he said to me, honest to God, he said to me, I've been a cop 25 years. I still get nervous when a police officer pulls me over. Now, I don't know if he just said that for my benefit or not, but they make police guns harder to fire with 11 pounds of pressure to pull the trigger. Not that it would help with it to your head. Here's the thing. The thing with that officer was that whole thing was a lie anyway. You know what I mean? Like, he said to me, do you know why I pulled you over? I said, no. Why did you pull me over? And he said, you didn't use your turn signal at the last light. And I said, with all due respect, yeah, I did. And he said, no, you didn't. And then he did the routine about the bank robbery and all that. And then he says to me, I'd like to search your car, right? And this is, by the way, people, this was on the previous time I was out of prison. So I was under the influence when this guy pulled me over. But he said, I'd like to search your car. And I said, no, you can't search my car. And he goes, why not? I said, because you pulled me over according to you for not using a turn signal. I don't see any reason why that should give you, permission to search my car. And he said, well, you're on probation. And when you're on probation, you surrender your Fourth Amendment rights, right? Which is illegal search and seizure. So you can be, you submit to a search on demand from one person. And that person is your probation officer. They can search you, your house, your car, anything, whenever they want. No warrant, no nothing. So the guy said to me, well, you're on paper. I can search any. And I said, no, you can't. The only person that can search me like that is my probation officer. And he says to me, keep in mind, he just pulled me over, right? For not using a signal. So he says to me, so if I called Chris so-and-so, and he gives me my probation officer's name. And I said to him, without running my driver's license, you know my probation officer's name? I don't believe I just got pulled over for a turn signal. I think that I just got pulled over because you know who I am. On the bright side, my God, that officer had you in a kill shot. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I did report that officer, by the way. Not that it does a whole lot of good, because, and I'm not, make no mistake, people. What I'm about to say is not spoiled grapes or anything. I went to prison because I deserved to go to prison. Plain and simple. I'm not one of those guys that complains about it. I did something illegal and I got caught and I went to prison, and that's what's supposed to happen. But once you have made that mistake, you're never treated the same again. And that's just the way it is. And it's something that, you either go insane or you learn to live with. And no one cares if an officer treats a convict like that. And that's really kind of sad, but it's the truth, and that is something that, I've learned to live with. And the funny thing is, it doesn't matter if I'm in a 3-piece suit, or a pair of shorts. when they pull the card and they take your stuff back and it pops up on that screen, you go from, hey, good morning, sir. Do you know I pulled you over to, what were you in prison for? Convict. You know what I mean? Like it just, the tenor of the whole thing changes very quickly. Nice, Jackson. Nice. So the point of this, I know that I just went down a bit of a rabbit hole because or maybe we should call it a squirrel hole. What do you think? But I did squirrel off, because that was. But the point of the matter is, these past behaviors that all stemmed from a lifestyle that I lived too long. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And now, instead of looking at all of this as just the worst thing from the world, hi, from Missouri, Wages World sent me. Not sure what this is about. I'm new here. Karen, welcome to the Lifeboat. You'll probably catch on pretty quick. This is about sobriety. That's what this is about. Everyone here is in the same boat. Hold on one moment. Yeah, everybody here is in the same boat. And by that I mean just about everybody on the Lifeboat is in recovery from one substance or another. And we come here to discuss issues that faced addicts in on the road to staying sober. And in the process of this happening, something exciting and new. Are you singing the the Love Boat theme? That's funny. Well played. The best part is this. I mean, we come here to talk about sobriety, but what really happens more than anything else is the group of people that have all showed up here are the greatest people on the planet. True story. I don't take any credit for that. I come here and I talk, and we got really, really lucky in the beginning. And there were some, that's a great joke, by the way. I like that. It's all fun and games till you call me Meryl Steubing, and then you're gone. No, I'm kidding. I get that a lot, actually. But, in the beginning, it was just a way for me to come and try to stay sober by continuing to talk to other people about sobriety. I am a recovering heroin addict, convicted bank robber, and after I got out of prison, I started I started the Tommy Scoville Show, and the Tommy Scoville Show was renamed by the people on the channel The Lifeboat, and in the process I became Captain Tommy because it's the Lifeboat, and the group of people that showed up in the beginning all attracted other like-minded people, and we've now got thousands of subscribers, and the one thing that they all have in common, aside from the fact that they're all trying to live their best life without chemicals, is that they really are just the most caring and loving people you've ever met. I got 3 emails in the last 24 hours from people that said, I'm trying to help so-and-so. Do you have any advice? I'm hoping to reach out and help so-and-so. It really is amazing, the people here. Niall said, if you had twitched your head, that guy could have blown your head off in an instant. And for what? He should have been kicked off the force for that. That makes me angry. You know what? This is the amazing thing, Niall. At the time, I was married to an attorney, right? Because I had married my defense attorney. We were no longer together. But I got pulled over maybe 3/4 of a mile from my home. So while, this Barney Fife police officer was going back to his car, I just hit, the phone and called out my wife's name and said, I'm on such and such a street, pulled over by a cop right now. And my then wife showed up. And when she got out of the car, she got the same treatment. As she started to walk toward the car, this cop went like this, put his hand on his gun, and she said, I am his attorney. Like, didn't say I'm his wife, but came over and handed a card to the... and then things changed a little bit. I'm not addicted to drugs or alcohol, never even tried drugs or cigarettes, in fact, but I love some addicts and pray for their deliverance. You know what, Karen? That's the other kind of people that we have on the Lifeboat. There are actually a lot of them, who have never been addicted to drugs or alcohol, but come here because of the sort of the environment. Mark talks a lot about how the show probably should be, instead of being, we are very often referred to as a sobriety channel. But the truth is that most of the things that we talk about apply to everybody on the planet. And here's the other thing, and take this for what it is. We have a couple of counselors who do this for a living who are members of the Lifeboat, and I think one is still here tonight. And they will tell you that even if you've never done drugs or alcohol, you're probably addicted to something. And before you go, no, or get angry at me for saying that, if you look at the whole addictive process and how it happens, if somebody's 60 pounds overweight, right, they usually have an addiction to eating. If somebody works too much, they usually have an addiction to working. So there's always somebody. I will share your channel with my dear friend who is a drug addict and has relapsed like 10 years clean. Oh, you know what? That's tough. But one of the things, Karen, that we talk about here all the time, and it's not an excuse, and it's not a get out of jail free card or anything else, but I promise you, your friend is beating herself up about that relapse. And it is a part of this process. It really is. It's something that just about everybody goes through. Some people are blessed and they're able to, to throw a switch and never ever touch a substance again. But for a lot of people, it just is part of the process. And it's not the end of the road. It's not the end of life either. You get up, you dust yourself off. There's a person here tonight who is about to celebrate 50 days, and he stumbled a couple of times, but came here and told everybody in the group that he did, got up, dusted himself off, and now he's working on day 50, and I guarantee you he's going to get to day 365, and then he's going to work on year 2, because he's learning the skills required to make that happen. Niall says, "Hi, Karen. We welcome you as a non-addict. Curious to know why you are here. Deliverance. Maybe you can explain. I am addicted to video games and savory food, and I am 50 pounds overweight." So there you go. "I am working on it, and God is helping me. People laugh that food isn't a real addiction." Yeah, nobody here does. Nobody on the Lifeboat will laugh that food is not a real addiction. Karen, and I know that I'm going to be telling the crew things that they've heard many, many times, but the way addiction works is the reward center in your brain sends out feel-good chemicals. It's basically your body's own drugs, and it sends it out. So when I did heroin, not just the buzz of the drug, but my brain rewarding me for doing the wrong thing is what creates the addiction. The same thing happens to people who overeat. When you eat savory food and you're eating food that you probably shouldn't be eating, or eating at a time when you shouldn't be, right? If you're having a snack at 10 o'clock at night, it's not the best thing for you. Your brain gives you a chemical. So it's not just, ooh, that tastes good. You actually get a chemical buzz from doing that. It's a stone cold fact. I am here because Wages World recommended it, and I follow his channel. Wasn't sure what it was about. Well, we're happy you're here, Karen. We really are. And there's a gentleman on the boat I love to brag about, so it's giving me another chance to bring up his name. A very good friend of mine I absolutely love. A gentleman by the name of Alan. Alan is an Australian. And in the last 18 months, he's lost 100 pounds. I take that back. He's lost 110 pounds. He's now 200 pounds on the nose. He was over 300 pounds. And he used the exact same method to get off of alcohol that he has used to lose weight. Because once you realize that it's all the same kind of addictions, I have been on keto for 3 weeks now, and I am down 5 pounds already. God help those who seek his counsel. I agree with you on that 100% as well. I'll tell you something else, Karen. Once you understand, once you really get a handle on exactly what your brain is doing, people, there's from a very young age, we all come to believe that I think, therefore I am, right? I am really just, my brain is who I am, and you're not your brain, right? And very often, Niall will tell you better than anybody, but very often your brain is fighting against you at every turn. We are big on psychology here. It is amazing that non-addicted people find us interesting because, I'm sorry, wait a second. It is amazing that non-addicted people find us interesting because we are great. Yeah, we are. There's no question. There is something. Here's the other thing, Karen. And we talk about this a lot. This really does come up quite often. But a funny thing happens when an addict gets clean, and regardless of what the person is addicted to, whether it's alcohol or cocaine or heroin or anything else, when someone gets clean, they usually don't forget where they came from. They don't forget what it felt like to be that person. So we've got some people on the boat who have 20 years of sobriety. Like they haven't used, the lifeboat's only been up about 7 months. So these people aren't here to get sober. But the same kind of that desire to help people is something that really, really comes through when someone gets sober. So for that reason, we've got over 2,000 people on the boat. And the majority of them really go out of their way to help one another. It's really become a family, and that's not something we throw around lightly. I really have come to love the people on this boat. Mark Wages, my partner, feels the same way. And if you've been over on Wages World, it's the same kind of vibe, I think. Flamin', it surely does. I'm a type 2 diabetic too, and was living to the mid to high 200 pounds, 200 blood sugar. Oh. And already in the 120 range in just 3 weeks. Good for you. That's awesome. It's one thing to lose weight, but to see that translate into into health, that's such a benefit. It really is, and that should really spur you on, Karen. It should. You said you're about 50 pounds overweight, right? So you got about 45 to go. You're in the right place. I'm telling you, you will find nothing but support here on the lifeboat, and there is a great many people here who struggle with food. It's probably the most, and probably nothing. It is the most common addiction in America. Me too, Karen. I'm not unkept, but those are my numbers. I was 4,000 when I went into the hospital a year and a half ago. Wow. Alan Ballantyne, my friend that lost over 100 pounds, was also type 2 diabetic, and he's not anymore. He, after losing over 110 pounds, his numbers have gotten to the point where he is no longer categorized as a diabetic. He is just, and, he also gave up methamphetamine, he gave up alcohol, but as Mark says, the channel is really more about living your best life, and Alan is living his best life. So damn proud of him. I really am. But I'm there aren't too many people on this boat I'm not proud of. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Everybody here is fighting the good fight. Whether it's food or booze or coke or heroin or whatever it is, everybody is fighting a malfunctioning reward center of the brain. She says, leisure. Oh, wow. Check into keto. It seriously does help with blood sugar. 3 weeks and I'm considering tossing the meth. That's is that a prescription you're thinking of tossing? Because I'm not familiar with that term. By the way, Karen, South Korea lists the number one problem in their country as addiction to video games. And when you say, I'm addicted to video games, there is no mistaking whatsoever. There have been studies done and everything else. The chemicals released in the brain, because there's a whole host of chemicals in the brain, right? We focus on two usually very often, but there are so many, it's incredible. Video games stimulate the exact same response in the brain that cocaine does. The same chemicals are released from video games as if you were snorting or smoking cocaine. So, there really is an addiction to video games, and it is for some people, it's debilitating. There are people that, they get home from work and spend 9 or 10 hours playing video games, and they get up and do it again the next day. And the reason is not because it's so much fun to play video games. They may talk themselves into that. But what's really fun is the brain says, oh yeah, and it just starts flooding you with feel-good chemicals every time you play. And that is what causes addiction. That is the process right there. Miss Herman, I gave up Facebook 2 years ago. You know what? So often I hear people say that they've given up Facebook. Can't say I blame you. We do have an oasis over there on Facebook, different than anything else you'll see. We don't do any of the other Facebook crap. It's very much like what happens right here, but it's just a support network for the people on the boat. Hundreds more in the last few weeks have subscribed. This makes me happy. We tackle subjects which are very wide-ranging, with addiction as the central point. You know what, Niall? I'm glad that you brought that up. I, too, am very, very pleased. The growth on the lifeboat in the last, 3 weeks, something like that, the crew has grown by hundreds. That's so exciting to me. It really is. You know, that's kind of the dream. Summer says, I have food and marijuana addiction. I smoked all day for 10 years. I'm currently 1.5 months off marijuana. I started keto diet and I'm fasting. Last year lost 35 pounds. Highly recommended. Awesome. I do fasting as well. That's how I lost all of my weight. I was doing intermittent fasting. And, both Karen and Summer, one of the things here on the lifeboat that's people I think I should probably point out. Hey, Charlie Murphy, good to see you. As crazy as it is, right? Because, the focus of my entire life is helping people get sober. But I don't badmouth substances, right? Obviously, I'm not very fond of heroin. It really, I almost destroyed everything that I cared about. I did destroy everything I cared about and had to rebuild all of it because of that drug. But, there are people who use cannabis every day, and I don't badmouth any substance. I badmouth addiction. If there are people who use things and they use them in a way that doesn't cause problems in their life, and they're not, they don't literally need it. I mean, that's what, for me, I'm trying to help people realize that there's a malfunctioning reward center in the brain that causes you to do things that you don't want to do. But I don't sit and badmouth one substance or another. I can't do any of them because that's who I am. I'm a drug addict's drug addict. Right? Woohoo! Way to go, Summer. Keto and fasting go hand in hand. Keto makes you less hungry, so fasting is easier. Nice, I like it. Captain Tommy found the weight you lost. Do you want it back? Here's the sad thing, 7th. I actually found the weight that I lost. I've been meaning to tell the boat this for, the last 3 or 4 shows, but right before New Year's, right? I started my New Year's resolution in December. I lost 18 pounds in 1 month. I put it all back. And I put it all back with a little extra. So I have found myself at the largest I was in my life was 287 pounds. That was my heaviest. And I got down to about 200. And I am now north of 230, which is, I'm actually, this is the heaviest I've been in a very, very long time. And it's coming to an end. Honestly, I told Jack, I told a couple of other people that I'm very close with that I am going back on intermittent fasting right now, and my goal is to get back to that, like 195, 200. So I got about 35 pounds I got to lose, and I know I don't look, but I don't ever look that way. Even when I was, I knew someone was going to say that. Thank you, Linda. But here's the thing, I never do. I just get bigger, like everywhere, literally everywhere, like. My wrists, every part of my body just gets bigger. And, it's, but I feel it, putting this floor in really, I definitely notice it when I'm working and doing anything manual or going up and down stairs, anything like that. It really, it becomes pretty obvious. So, but thank you. You'll notice, hopefully you're going to stick around and you'll see me drop some weight. We do want everybody to stay. Check out Dr. Berg here on YouTube regarding keto and fasting. Dr. Berg. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'm on a seafood diet. unless I don't like it. Miss V. That's funny. So when you see food, you eat it? Well, the way I lost the 87 pounds last time was I could eat anything I wanted. For real, I could eat chocolate, I could eat anything, but I would eat it all in 4 hours. So all of my eating in the entire day would be done within a 4-hour period of time, and then I wouldn't eat for 20. And that really, really knocked it out. Linda says, is keto about eating a lot of meat? It's keto is about, you know what? I shouldn't answer this question. I've never really done keto. But my understanding is that not a lot of carbs, awful lot of protein. So yeah, meat was probably a very big part of that whole diet. And Jesse Brown says, Linda, no marb. But I think he meant carb. Yeah, no carbs, low on carbs, heavy on protein. And Karen says, Linda, it is a high-fat, low-carb way of eating. Moderate meat, very low carb. Alrighty. Hopefully they don't cut out coffee. I should probably at some point, maybe next New Year's, I will tackle coffee. By the way, thank you to everybody for the thoughts and prayers and all of the well wishes about my chest. It is most assuredly a muscle tear. So I've torn some muscles in my chest. Coffee with Steva. Well, to be honest, I don't use any sugar in my coffee. Doesn't that sound good? Because I use that creamer that's like 99% sugar, that liquid stuff that just makes coffee taste like heaven. I use way too much of it. I like what you said. I am a drug addict, which comes full circle with how you started. We think as addicts, and we need to be around addicts to maintain sanity. Amen. That is absolutely the truth. Niall, I said that word for word yesterday. I really did. I was talking to 2 people on a conference call. Well, wrong way to put it. Yeah, I guess it is a conference call. Just 3 of us were all friends, and we were just on a call all together. And one of them, who is still perplexed, person I've known for like 35 years, still perplexed by the whole lifeboat thing, thinks I might be crazy. Because in the time that we were on the phone, I think I got like, 10 or 15 times my phone went off for people from the boat. And my friend said to me, you're crazy with all of this stuff, How long do you think you're going to keep doing this? Meaning that the way he sees it, I'm just taking all of my time trying to help people. Like, what am I getting out of it kind of thing? And I tried to explain to him that this is how I keep my sanity, This is going to sound awful, but it's just the truth. I can't relate to normal people. I can't. With the life that I've led, my point of references, my thought processes, all of these things, addicts tend to understand me, and I understand them. And air quotes, normal people don't necessarily understand me very well. Gravy Train says, I can quit anything cold turkey. Life is pretty boring. None of them drugs can hype me up. Okay. Coffee is more of a drug than marijuana. Alrighty. I think caffeine is more of a drug than tetrahydrocannabinol. Well, there are people that definitely believe that caffeine is an addictive substance. There's no 2 ways about that. So, but if anyway, yes, you're right. Let's go, Wrench Crew. Seventh Son. I love you, my brother. I really do. Agree about coffee being a drug. I try to only drink it twice a week. 1 cup. I don't want to be addicted to it. I have restricted myself to 3 cups a day. I used to drink considerably more than that. There are days I only drink 1, but I can't remember the last time I didn't have at least 1. In early recovery off cocaine, I couldn't drink caffeine. Linda, you're not the first person I've heard say that. That's a true story. I've heard other people say that it was almost like a trigger to try to want to go back. Caffeine used to sort of get them going and toward their previous substance of choice. I've heard that numerous times from people before. I drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day, says Pam. You can do it. Yes. Linda, congratulations on the amazing weight loss and for keeping it off so long. Wow, excellent. Hey, proud of each and every one of you. True story. Again, any of the new people that may have come over from Marfoogle, welcome to the Lifeboat. Anybody that's come over from Wages World, again, welcome to the Lifeboat. We hope you stick around. Get to know the people here. Introduce yourself. It's a great crew. Really is. An amazing crew of people. We are here 7 days a week. We may take off every now and then. For the most part, we don't miss a day. And it's 6 o'clock on the West Coast. That used to be the best coast. But, so. Yeah, exactly. You got a wrench too, Flamin'. Good night. Hugs and hearts to you all, says Charlie Murphy. Over from Wages, I've been needing a recovery group. I still struggle. I feel like I will always be a recovering addict. Summer, you will always be a recovering addict. Doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing, but you will always be a recovering addict. That is one of the things. I don't eat bread anymore. Only steak, meat, and veggies. Going off the rails on the gravy train. I will be back tomorrow night. Same bat time, same bat channel. We are at the top of the hour, people, and you know what that means. You have one assignment between now and tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. It's the same assignment every day, right? Reach out and try to save somebody. It's what we do. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass should be my partner, Mark Wages, but he's spending the evening with his family. And you know what time it is, right, everybody? As promised. This, people, is a cat in a basket. Say goodnight, squirrel. That is the cabin cat squirrel. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye. Good job, squirrel.